This week, we finally got to learn about a lot of the things we're going to be engaging in the content formerly known as Joker's Wild, but now simply referred to as the Season of the Drifter. What's going on, Guardians? My name is the Black Link, and oh man, what a news-filled week it has been. Just a day or so ago, we covered the Bungie Vidoc detailing the incoming Season of the Drifter, set to launch next week on March 5th, and there is a lot of stuff in there. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. It's about an 8-minute long Vidoc that we cover in its entirety. And we got to learn a lot about the new Gambit Prime mode, the Reckoning, which is a new in-game PvE mode that's going to be like time-based and it gets you in-game armor that you use in Gambit. We learned about the roles you'll be placing, we got to see Thorn, there's a lot of stuff in there. But we learned even more information in the hours following that video, and we'll be covering some of that as well as this week's TWAB in this video. There, now that that lengthy introduction has been done, let's go ahead and dive on into some of the things we learned after the Vidoc went live. First things first, we had ourselves a bit of an update to the Destiny 2 Forsaken gameplay calendar, which details the free seasons and the annual pass content we'll be getting until the end of summer. And as you can see, it's had a few changes since the last time we saw this roadmap. Of course, we finished most of the content for Black Armory and are now moving into the Season of the Drifter starting next Tuesday. And the roadmap has been updated with us. For the free seasonal updates, this is the free stuff that everyone will be able to enjoy in Season of the Drifter. We've got new private matches and new maps for Gambit, a brand new exotic quest, the spring event, the Revelry, a further power increase utilizing the new Power Surge bounties, new triumphs and lore books, a new activity titled Arc Week, new vanity rewards, new rank rewards, and of course the Iron Banner. That's going to be a part of the free seasonal update that everyone who owns Forsaken is going to be able to enjoy. For the annual pass owners, we've got quite a bit more. You'll also be getting access to the new in-game Gambit Prime game mode, the Invitations of the Nine, which we'll talk about in just a second, a second exotic quest. Going to be very interesting to see what that is. I do believe the free seasonal exotic quest is probably going to be Thorn. I think that's a fairly safe bet, so I can't wait to see what this second one's going to be about. We've got Gambit Prime weapons and gear that you'll be getting from the Reckoning, new triumphs and lore books, an Allegiance quest, which is going to be tying a bit in with the exotic quest, the Reckoning, and private matches with new maps in Gambit Prime. So there we go. It looks like we've got a lot of stuff to look forward to when Season of the Drifter goes live. And like I said, there's a lot of interesting stuff there that we'll get more information on later on in this week's TWAB. But one of the things I wanted to pick out was, of course, the Invitations of the Nine. This was previously referred to as Xur bounties, but has now been expanded into being the Invitations of the Nine, and it's going to be an exploration of the Nine and their mysterious place in the universe. The path for these mysterious invitations is going to begin on Friday, March 15th. Annual pass owners will be able to pick up an Invitation of the Nine from Xur, and once those objectives are completed, it will transform into a bounty called Into the Unknown. These will be available to complete once per character, similar to the bounties that you got at the beginning of Forsaken for completing an activity with a full gear set. Week over week, for 9 weeks, you'll collect new lore and powerful rewards. The Nine have held some of the most mysterious lore in all of the mythos of Destiny, so I cannot wait to see where these invitations lead, what we're going to be learning, and how it's going to impact the future of this franchise. But alright, moving on here, we actually get a more detailed roadmap of exactly when content in Season of the Drifter is going to be dropping. So let's go ahead and dive on into that really quickly. Of course, on March 5th, when the Season of the Drifter goes live, we're getting access to the new Gambit Prime game mode as well as the Reckoning, the brand new in-game PvE activity. We're getting access to Tier 1 of that once you've played one game of Gambit Prime. We're also getting a brand new Gambit Prime map in New Arcadia, as well as the advent of private matches for the Gambit game mode. Then, 3 days later on March 8th, the Reckoning Tier 2 is going to be unlocking, meaning you'll have a brand new level of that game mode to go to just 3 days after Season of the Drifter goes live. After that, on March 12th, we have a brand new map for Gambit Prime coming in, Deep 6. This takes place on Titan. Additionally, March 12th is also when the Thorn quest and the Allegiance quest, which was formerly known as the Joker's Wild weekly quest on previous roadmaps, is going live. I talked a bit about this in the Vidoc video. I'm super excited that we're getting access to the Thorn quest on the second week of the Season of the Drifter. I'm very happy that we don't have to wait months on end before we can dive on into this. And the Allegiance quest in and of itself is something very interesting, as they describe it in the TWAB like this. The Allegiance quest Previously forecast as the Joker's Wild weekly quest will invite you to choose between the Vanguard and the Drifter. Pick a side to progress through the quest from their perspective. This pledge is character-based, so if you have more than one Guardian, you can play both sides. Choose wisely. So basically, we're going to be able to side either with the Drifter or with the Vanguard in this upcoming quest, which is something completely unique to the world of Destiny, but hopefully, maybe just hopefully, is a sign of things to come in Destiny 3. It's somewhat speculated that this Allegiance quest is going to be tied in with the Thorn itself, but I think the notion of us picking and choosing sides and walking our own path is definitely a fantastic way to move forward. Alright, and then after that, on Friday, March 15th, we have got the Invitations of the Nine and the Reckoning Tier 3, which, like we said before, you'll be able to start off by going and speaking with Xur. And as for the Reckoning Tier 3, while we don't exactly know what we'll be doing in there quite yet, all we know is that it's a timed activity and you're going to be rushing through hordes of enemies. Word on the street right now is that it is going to be rather difficult, in a manner that might make you wish for the pre-patch version of the escalation protocol, if you can remember way back to last summer how that game mode was super duper difficult. After that, on March 15th, the Legion's Folly is going to become available for the Gambit Prime game mode. Then on the 26th, Emerald Coast will be introduced into Gambit Prime as well. Next up, on April 2nd, all Gambit maps will become available in the Gambit Prime game mode. And additionally, private matches for Gambit Prime on New Arcadia and Deep 6 will also become available. After that, we have a bit of a double hitter. Starting on April 9th, we've got what's going to be called Arc Week. It's going to be a free activity for all players. We're not exactly sure what this means, but I'd imagine it means that there's going to be arc modifiers going on to activities like maybe the Reckoning, maybe Gambit, which could create some interesting concepts for the future, kind of like taking the modifier burns we had back in Destiny 1 and applying them to activities outside of just strikes. I would love that if we could see some in-game activities where they had burns on. Could you imagine going through Escalation Protocol or one of the forges with different modifiers and whatnot? I think that'd be pretty cool. But then, from the 16th to May 6th, we have got the spring event, The Revelry. This is going to be free to all players, and apparently might have something to do with the Infinite Forest. Very interested in seeing where that's going to be going. But there we go, Guardians. That is the updated roadmap for all of the content we'll be receiving in the Season of the Drifter. Looks like it's going to take us all the way till about mid-May, which will leave us just a month away from the launch of the Season of Opulence. A lot of really interesting stuff in there. I'm super excited for the Reckoning, super excited for the Invitations of the Nine, and you Guardians already know I've got to get my hands on the Thorn. But that's not the only thing I wanted to cover in this video. We got to see some of the brand new Pinnacle Rewards that we'll be getting our hands on in the Season of the Drifter in that Vidoc the other day. And today, we actually get a better look at some of that stuff as well. Bungie has put up their official Season of the Drifter page over on their website. And through there, you can look through, get a look at some of the armor that we'll be getting, some of the weapons we'll be getting our hands on, and most importantly, in my opinion, some of the Pinnacle weapons you'll be able to chase after once March 5th rolls around. We got a quick glimpse of these in the Vidoc, and now we know the full names and abilities of these weapons. First off, the Crucible Pinnacle weapon is going to be the Recluse. This is going to be a Vice submachine gun, kind of like the Red Mamba. And with its special ability, kills with any weapon improve this weapon's damage for a short period of time, which, based on things like the range stat for this weapon, could make it a really powerful option in PvP. It should be interesting to see the damage numbers on it. Then next up, we've got the Vanguard Pinnacle weapon, the Oxygen SR3. Dragonfly deals more damage based on the number of precision hits made beforehand. So it seems like you'll be able to stack Dragonfly damage by landing precision shots in succession until you get the kill. We get to see this in action very quickly, and it kind of gives me sort of a Hung Jury kind of vibe. If this wound up just being like the same perks that were on the Hung Jury from back in D1, I would actually be completely fine with that. Then next up is the Pinnacle weapon I am most excited for. A new legendary machine gun from Gambit titled the 21% Delirium. Kills increase this weapon's damage until it is stowed or reloaded, which sounds to me like basically a longer lasting Rampage. Rampage is of course one of the better PvE perks in the game. That stacking damage on kills is fantastic, but of course the downside to it is that you have a very small window of time to keep getting kills before the perk runs out. With the Delirium, it looks like that perk is going to stay active until you either reload or swap away from the weapon, which means you can extend it with stuff like a Rally Barricade or a Lunafaction buffed Rift. which was of course confirmed by the community managers over on the Destiny the Game subreddit. Really excited to get my hands on that thing. Machine guns are so good right now. I'm so happy they finally brought that class back to the game. And I'm guessing I'm going to have to spend a lot of time in Gambit Prime before I can get my hands on this one. But alright, there we go, Guardians. That pretty much covers everything that I wanted to talk about in today's video. There is still a lot more information out there about the Season of the Drifter that we have to go through. It's starting to look like there's going to be a lot of really cool things to get done once this season begins next Tuesday. And I know I certainly can't wait. I'm really excited about some of these new Pinnacle weapons, although I am dreading the grind to get them. Not to mention whatever that second mystery exotic quest is going to be about. Ooh, that should be fun. But alright, Guardians, it's going to be it for this one. Those are my thoughts on all of this stuff. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Reckoning? What about the Invitations of the Nine? Are you psyched to finally learn about their history? And which of these Pinnacle weapons are you most looking forward to? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. But alright, that's going to be it for this one, Guardians. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, I am the Black Link. You guys stay frosty.